Today we have a special guest. His name is Mr. Philip Ndeska. He's a financial advisor and educator.
Most people don't know how money works. They don't have any protection. Most people think of real estate as just buying a physical property, but real estate is a whole industry. Usually anything that is foreign to your understanding, it always seems complex. So it plunges us into debt because we compete for the wrong reasons. We compete poorly rather than collaborate. But most people spend money in buying things that they really don't need to show off to people they don't like with money they don't even have.
Welcome to another episode of the Deep Dive Podcast. As always, my name is Raissa and we have Gloria. And today we have a special guest. His name is Mr. Philip Ndeska. He's a financial advisor and educator devoted to empowering individuals, families, and businesses in reaching their financial objectives and establishing a secured financial foundation for the future. Mr. Philip fosters collaborative relationships with clients to address financial challenges proactively. With an extensive experience, he serves as a trusted personal finance specialist, offering tailored services focused on tax optimization, financial decisions, and Mr. Phillips has guided numerous clients through pivotal financial milestones from business tax saving strategies to retirement and real estate planning to college funding and much more insight to help people strategize financial security. Beyond transactions, Mr. Phillips is committed to client education, conducting free seminars, workshops, and consultations to equip individuals with the knowledge and skills needed to confidently manage their finances. He's proudly based in Maryland and he balances his professional success with his role as a dedicated family man through his dedication and excellence and passion for financial success. He stands out as a beacon of guidance in personal finance, committed to bring a brighter future to all of his clients one step at a time. So, welcome,
Wow,
Mr.
what
Phillips.
a powerful intro. Okay.
Wow, that was that was quite insightful. I was like, man, is that me? Yeah,
Definitely.
but yeah, but thank you very much for that wonderful introduction.
Thanks for
Like you
having
say,
us.
yeah, I'm really honored being on your platform today. I'm
Yes,
hoping we have a wonderful discussion. But thank you so much for having me today.
Perfect.
awesome.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? I know we did an intro, but we want to know how did you get started in your industry?
Yeah, very good. My genesis is kind of really funny because
Mhm.
I was moving into this apartment here in Maryland, and I think I just come back from working in New Hampshire. I was working with Fidelity Investments, so I was moving back to Maryland. I'd gotten a job with Exelon downtown Baltimore. So while moving, I met this Kenyan guy the same
Okay.
day I was moving in, and he was grilling and he shared with me a hot dog. I was like, "What kind of craziness is this? What African would give you a hot dog? Don't you have fufu?" So so we laughed
Right.
about it. Yeah. So I asked him, what does he do? As Africans, we're very inquisitive. So me personally, so he said he was a financial advisor. I said, man, I need you, because at that point in time, I was working as a database administrator, and I would see how much I was making at the end of the year when I get the tax forms. But when I look at my bank account, I always felt like somebody was robbing me. So I told him I need to sit down with you and then understand, my finances because it's really a challenge. So from
Right.
then on, he invited me to a convention in downtown Baltimore. When I went there, I saw someone was making my annual salary in a month.
Wow.
So
No way.
it was completely transformational from that
Hmm.
point on. I knew that, okay, this is what I want to do. And I got in because of the money initially. But as I started learning, I realized that all the friends around me, they also have they're facing the same challenges.
Mm.
Most people don't know how money works. They don't have any protection. We go out on Saturday, party, sometimes drive home drunk. And I was always scared, what if I don't make it home? So for me, that was my genesis. And from then I saw that, okay, there was a means for me to get licensed and then start helping other people by educating them. And, we get compensated really good for the work we do. And also we create a lot of impact. Yeah.
So, what license do you have?
Yes. So I have a life and health license. So I'm also an educator. So currently working to get my securities license. But what I sit down with someone, it is imperative that we get to really educate them first, because licenses is good to have, but a lot of times people just go off of the license, but they don't take time
Mm,
to really understand the subject matter and to be able to educate clients in a way where they can gain understanding before they take action. Because I believe an informed consumer is the best. When I work with people, my goal is to make sure that both of us become fiduciaries for your benefit. I don't want to be the only one who's a fiduciary for you. I also want to make sure you're very educated to make
mhm,
informed financial decisions. That way, the partnership is a more productive one. Yeah.
mhm.
Right. Thank you for
Okay.
that.
Do you have like a business that offers this financial solution? If people need to contact you, is it like more of a personal one-on-one base, or do you have a business that they can reach out to? Did have you structured like an LLC or a company to offer this financial help?
Very good. So, well, the company I'm with, called Wealth Financial Group, you become
Okay.
independent. You're literally an independent contractor. So, Wealth Financial Group provides you a platform where you have more than 200 different financial corporations, insurance companies on the platform. So, once you get your license, you're able to connect, clients with solutions through the companies. So, our team is Wealth System Builder. At Wealth System Builder is the educational arm of Wealth Financial Group. So we take time to make sure people are properly educated to
Mm,
help. We also help them ensure they can build a proper financial foundation. In terms of an LLC, I have a separate LLC, but I don't specifically run it with Wealth Financial Group. That is a standalone. So I own Asset Finder Services. Initially, I started it primarily to more or less in the real estate industry. My goal was to work around overages, something they call overages, to be able to look at people who are owed excess money from their property after it went through tax foreclosure sales. So to locate those people and then make sure that they could identify that they have money,
Right.
then I could get finder's fees. So that was why I primarily set up that. Then also later on, I felt like, okay, asset finder, the name, it can encompass much more than just that. So I
Mhm.
started thinking, how can I educate people to build assets over liabilities? And I thought, okay, this makes sense. But primarily when it comes to Wealth Financial Group, I specifically educate people, keep it separate from asset finders. It's just literally a separate entity. Yes.
Okay. So you mentioned real estate. Were you a real estate investor as well? How did
Mm,
the real
Not
estate invest come into play?
Not much. The thing is, most people think of real estate as just buying a physical property, but real estate is a whole industry, right? There are people
Mhm.
who invest in real estate through like tax liens, people who do overages, and there's so much in the real estate industry that most people want to just invest in a physical house. So for me, I don't have the time or the energy to have to do reno and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
When I get to invest, my goal is to put the least capital that has the maximum profit. So I
mm,
find those niches that a lot
Mhm.
of people are not really aware, and then I invest from that perspective.
mhm.
That's
So
smart.
yeah, that's what I typically do.
Okay, so let's say I am a regular person,
Mhm.
and just like you, I don't really understand. I know I pay taxes, I have a 9 to 5 job, maybe I have bills, my regular everyday bills, rent, or mortgage, car insurance, all that kind of stuff, credit card bills, just an average person. How do you help them achieve that with their 9 to 5? Like, what would be like some of the things you would maybe help them to look at that on a regular they're not already looking at? Because a lot of the people sometimes, they just want to be like, well, I just have to save money, right? So what do you offer to like a regular person to say, well, this is how I can help you gain financial, literacy and independence?
Yeah, the first thing is to do a financial needs analysis. Same as when you go to the hospital. You cannot just go and the doctor come to you and say, hey, Miss Raissa, I think you need a Vicodin, or, I think you need a colonoscopy. It doesn't work that way, right? So you have to go through a triage process. So the same thing with us. We do a financial needs analysis, understand where the person is at, what are your goals and aspirations, short term, mid term, and long term. And then we create plans to develop a personal financial strategy, because each individual is completely unique when it comes to your finance. So once we do that, through the financial needs analysis, we'll be able to see what is your spending habit, right? What is your saving habit? what is the overall cash flow? What comes in? How is it being spent? What is left after that? How much are they contributing to assets? How much are they contributing to liabilities? Once we look at that, then we're able to see, okay, we've identified this so that you're spending a lot on. Are there ways you could cut back, right? But some
Mhm.
people are not making enough, so
Right.
they literally there's no way they can cut back. So at that point in time, we say, okay, there's an opportunity where you can make money. So you
Okay.
either have to increase your cash flow or cut back on your expenses. But
Okay.
now, even if you cannot cut back because almost all your expenses is towards needs.
Yep.
So if we do that in our workshops, there is one workshop that we teach people increasing cash flow. So people are
Nice.
able to identify what are the areas that they are spending a lot of money. Like you have people who have Hulu, Amazon Prime, Netflix,
You don't.
and so on. But I
Yeah.
usually ask
Netflix.
my class,
Yep.
I usually ask in my class, how many channels can you watch at
You
one time?
just need one. That's too many.
Right. So, and then now we are coming to the end of the year. One of the biggest New Year resolution is what? Losing weight. Yeah.
Oh,
Right. Right. Losing weight
Yes.
and
So people sign up for gym membership, but they never really go
they,
there.
yes.
So they still pay every single month, but they never go. So
Mm.
we look at those things that maybe you're not really thinking about, and then we can cut back. From there, now we
Mhm.
look, okay, what are the short term goals? What are things you want to achieve within a year? Then we strategize. What are things, mid term goals, 1 to 5 years? Then what are long term goals? What is around retirement planning? Or if you have kids, start building college fund and then
hmm,
ensuring that your family is properly protected. So from
mhm.
life insurance, college fund, retirement plans, also estate plan and
Mhm.
then healthcare planning around long-term care because in our community
Mhm.
most people build their portfolio, they don't factor in healthcare planning as a key
Right.
component of their portfolio. One of the workshops we also offer centers around health and wealth, so we show you the intersection of how your health influences your health,
Well,
your wealth, sorry.
mhm.
So we make sure we look at a holistic picture and then
Mhm.
develop strategies that can identify all those key areas. And in our community right now, a lot of people don't believe in estate planning. So most people don't have a will. They don't have
Right.
any trust, right? We don't have advanced directives for healthcare directives, or power of attorney. And I see a lot of people who have young children. They don't have any guardianship document in place. God forbid if both parents were to pass away, who take care of the young children? So those are
Mhm.
things that we educate people. So once we are able to look at the holistic picture, then we can formulate strategies based on where the person is at and what is the highest priority, and then we move from there.
Okay.
That's pretty comprehensive.
Wow. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
very.
I was about to ask about the estate planning, and
Mhm.
you touched on it a little bit.
Yes.
So, how does the estate planning work? I hear a lot about having a trust and this and
Yeah.
that, but I know it's a little bit more complex.
It is not as complex as people like to think about because, usually anything that is foreign to your understanding, it always seems complex.
Looks.
One of my friends,
Right.
one of my friends when I was in Eastern Europe, we always say, what you don't know is darker than night.
Mm.
So, right. So, when it comes to estate planning, it's pretty easy to understand and then to do. Most people always feel like it's very expensive. The first thing first, everyone has to have a will. Most people think a will is just for rich people, but
Right.
everything you own is part of your estate. And in Cameroon, when you hear about estate, you think it's super large.
Big,
Right.
like
Big, yeah,
million,
yeah,
like
Mansions.
extra
yeah.
cars.
But
Yeah.
that's not the case. Everything you own is part of your estate. Whether it's your mobile phone, your bank account, even if it's a beat up Hyundai,
Oh, this is my estate. A part
yes,
of my estate.
everything you own, that's part of your estate. So you want to make sure that you have a will. And then when you set up a trust is a separate entity. So you can transfer ownership of most of the things you own into your trust. So if
Mm.
someone was to sue you, they cannot have direct access to that. So it
Right.
serves as an added layer, when we talk about asset protection. It
Hmm.
shields you from being exposed because if
Right.
everything is in your name, remember, almost everything is public information in America. If you
Yes.
own a home, they can find it, online. So now, if someone, let's say you get involved in a car accident and someone wanted to sue you, if they do a
Hmm.
research on you, they see that you own multiple properties. Guess what? Now they won't be asking for
They're
five.
going for the properties.
Right. So Then also we have to have power of attorney, whether it's around healthcare power of attorney or
Mhm.
financial power of attorney. So who will make those financial decisions for you? God forbid if you find yourself incapacitated, right?
Mhm.
If you
Right.
find yourself in a coma, who will make
Mhm.
decisions? And then when it comes to healthcare directives, say
Right.
you're not able to, or maybe you find yourself in the vegetable state and
Mm.
you have your, your ex that you guys don't even talk, you hate each other, and that
Right.
person is your emergency contact. What do you
Hmm.
think will happen? They will say
Yikes.
plug, right?
Right.
So those are things we want to make sure. And then guardianship document. If you have kids, especially young kids, you want to have guardianship document. So it's pretty easy.
Mhm.
We have a company on a platform that we work with. We link you
Mhm.
up with an attorney that can get to help you put together those documents. And then for business owners, it is very
Mhm.
essential because God forbid if you're not there, who will take over your business?
Mm.
Right.
Like you guys have a joint venture right now. Do you have
Mhm.
Mhm.
any, writing like, okay, if this we say fallout, how will the interests of each person be handled? So
Right.
those are the things that we have to have in place as part of our estate plan.
Mm.
Wow. Okay. Yes,
Wow.
there's a lot of good information
Definitely.
that a lot of people don't know, you know.
Absolutely.
Mm-mm.
So you really like made this a simple process,
It
honestly.
is. It is very simple.
Yes.
Okay. So if someone, let's say, because there's some business owners that would be watching this, if they're wondering like how much does it cost to establish a trust, like because I think that's really great, especially for like business owners to be able to like secure their business whereby no matter what happens, do you know what I mean? Their assets are safe and secured. What they've worked for is
Mhm.
secured. How much does it cost to establish a trust? How long does it take? Just rough
Approximately.
estimate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So depending on the kind of trust that you need, because
Mm.
trust there are different levels of trust, right?
Mhm.
But typically they fall under two different categories, whether it's a revocable or an irrevocable trust. An irrevocable trust, once you set it, it's literally set in stone, right?
Mhm.
A revocable trust, you can make changes to it. So depending on the kind of trust you choose to set up and also the size of your estate. So for
Okay.
someone who has a little mom and pop shop, their estate is not complex.
Right.
But let's say if you have interest in a lot of different, public companies, right? And then maybe you own businesses in foreign countries, you own real estate in different places, and then you have a blended family, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
you deal with real estate. So that's a more complex estate plan because your estate is not just the like your phone, right? Or your beat up
Yeah.
Honda or Hyundai Sonata or something. So
Mhm.
depending
Mhm.
on the size, now it becomes a more complex thing. So, but
Mhm.
starting out, it's from $1,200 and up for a
Okay.
simple estate plan, about $1,200. And most of the
Okay.
companies they will provide you a payment plan where you can pay maybe
Nice.
$50 for 24 months or so.
That's not bad, actually.
Oh.
It's not. It saves you a whole lot of money because think about, most people don't understand the implications of not having proper estate planning done. When you
Mhm.
think about, superstars like Prince,
Mhm.
right? Who, the guy who sang Purple Rain,
Yeah.
and even the guy who sang I Feel Good, is it James Brown?
Yes, I
Right?
feel
Most of
good.
them, yes, they didn't have any, estate planning done. They didn't
Mhm.
have a will, they didn't establish a trust. So when they passed away, since their family was saying, I'm getting this one is saying I'm getting that, and they start
Mm.
fighting, and also they had people they owe money to. So those people that start suing the estate. So it goes
Mm.
now into probate court. So
Mm.
in probate, you're paying attorney fees, you're paying administrative fees. Then the bank that oversees everything, you're also paying them fees.
Wow.
Yes, for someone like Prince, just the bank that was handling everything, they ended up receiving about $3 million, right? Just the bank.
Hey.
So we're not talking about attorney fees and
Yeah.
so that's why it is very essential. So because you are putting your family in a position of loss. So imagine now if your estate is not as big as Prince and then still have to pay attorney fees and you keep your family for long in probate court. Nobody wants to be grieving and then having to go back and forth, lawyers, going
Yeah.
into courtrooms. It doesn't make any sense. So you save a lot more by doing it now rather than procrastinating. Yeah.
So that means people just have to understand because it's actually like it's so like predatory,
Mhm.
because when something is going wrong, people that are supposed to like help you, everyone is trying to get a piece of the cake. You know, the bank is
Right.
trying to get something, the attorneys are trying to get something, the court is trying to get something, everyone is trying to get a piece.
IRS is trying to get something.
Everybody's trying to
Right.
get something, and it's very predatory, so you have to really like try to secure your assets. If not, a lot of the money you worked for is just going to go to like people who are hungry and just looking to get a piece of the cake that they didn't work for. So
Absolutely.
wow. So let's go back to like breaking it down for like regular everyday people, right? So let's say, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you, when you're going through like a person's profile, you know, you're doing like your process of triage, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see 9 to 5, you know, everyday regular people making every single time with their finances?
One of the biggest things to break it down. When I moved to America, I heard of the term keeping up with the Joneses. I don't know if you all heard that, where
Yes.
you're trying to leave like the wealthy.
Right. Above your means. Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
It's very common in amongst our community. So
Mm.
it plunges us into debt because we compete for the wrong reasons. We compete poorly rather than collaborate. So you see someone buy a house, and now you want to go buy a house. You don't know the person's financial situation, what your credit score was, how long they took to raise money. So you
Exactly.
see that, and then you jump. You have no understanding. You don't even know the kind of
Yeah.
resources you leverage to get maybe closing costs to be waived or all those different things. So you
Mhm.
see people, they drive a big car, you also want to get a big car. So
Mm.
you have a lot of people who you hear six figures, which I always tell people 6 figures is not 6 figures in your pocket, right?
It's not.
Yeah.
So you
It's
have
not.
people who, even though when we say American standard, they make good money because they make over 100K, but you realize that they are spending over $150,000 because majority of their expenses go towards liabilities. So they're not
Mm.
building any assets. They're buying
Right.
liabilities over and over, whether it's buying whiskey or champagne at the club and using it to wash their hands, and they don't have any life insurance policy,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
you know or just
Right.
buying a car that fully well you cannot keep.
You know.
The note that you're paying on it is huge. Then you go get a mortgage with terrible interest rate.
Mm.
You tend to see people working three jobs, but they're still poor,
Wow.
right? So it becomes a big problem. Debt is one of the biggest problems that is plaguing our community. A lot of parents, we spend huge amount of money throwing
Mhm.
birthday parties every single year for
For the
children,
kid.
but we are not saving for college. So you have a
Mhm.
lot of people graduating on Friday with a big
Mhm.
party that their parents throw, but on Monday they have $100,000 student loan. Fannie Mae is looking at them like Fannie Mae is also, hey, come on.
Waiting on, waiting on that that
Right,
interest rate. Yeah.
waiting on that. And the biggest thing for me is also our community, we don't know about proper protection, health
Mm.
insurance, life insurance, disability insurance, long term care, especially life insurance. So I
Yes.
still
Mm.
see a lot
Yes.
of times, almost every month, I get added to a WhatsApp group to raise money for a funeral or to
Mm.
raise money for someone that is suffering from a terminal illness or chronic or critical illness or someone in a long term care situation. But most people spend money in buying things that they really don't need to show off to people they don't like with money they don't even have.
Mm.
Mm. Preach. Preach. Preach.
It has become a deep habit. I mean, I was
Yeah.
part of that cycle. Before then, I opened my eyes through educating myself and also
Mm.
reading new books, exposing myself to different environment. So you won't find me buying champagne and washing my hands. I did
Right.
that before. I actually have a stupid video on my phone when I when I used to do that, but I won't do that no more, right?
Mm.
Do you still have friends that
Do
engage in that type of lifestyle?
I like, because I
Yes,
think I think it's also something whereby maybe it's like at a certain age, like you're excited,
absolutely.
you just started making money. Do
Yes,
you still have friends that should have faded out of that stage but are still in it?
I do. Unfortunately, one thing I've come to learn is I don't judge people.
Mm.
Everyone has I call it point of renaissance, right,
Mm.
or reawakening. So life either has to slap you real hard, or other people's circumstances have to lead you to open your eyes, or the
Mm.
book you expose yourself to get you to start seeing things from a different dimension or perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So I still have friends who are still caught up with that in that I call it a hamster wheel, but
Okay.
a lot of them, I think, eventually they'll get to see things from a different perspective. I'm just praying and hoping it's not too late.
Right.
Mm.
I always tell people, whatever you do, make money. If you're spraying the money, whatever, it's all good and fine. But make sure that you have
You're
backup income.
making money.
Because for me, I'm stupid in a way that if I find you, at 70 years old, I want to go to Walmart or Sam's Club or BJ's, I see you at the door trying to check my receipt, I will laugh.
Mm.
Right?
Oh man, that's
Yeah. I will laugh, but that's the reality of things. So I really hope that people will educate yourself and then take your finance as a priority, because
Mm.
most of us will procrastinate and most of us will live in procrastination. And that's the worst nation to live in because nothing gets done.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. So,
From the books of Philip Ndeska. Intentional life, make money. That's
yes,
it. Right. It should
absolutely.
be a scripture in the Bible.
Absolutely.
Books of Phillips.
I had the same conversation yesterday. I was at John Hopkins University Applied Physics Lab. They had a potluck yesterday. A friend invited me, and I
Mm.
went there. I was having the same conversation.
Hold
So,
on. We didn't get an invite, Philip?
don't worry. We have an event in our office in January. So I'll send you guys
Okay.
a flyer so at least you can come experience what we do. Yeah.
We're
Perfect.
going, right?
Yes, we're going. We need it. We're always looking for new
Let him
connections.
finish his story. Go
Finish.
ahead.
So,
Hopkins University.
yeah. So while I was there, one of the guys, because I had a vendor table, so they made it like a potluck, and then they had different vendors. So I had a table there, because I do much to advocate and advance, financial literacy in every avenue. So
Mhm.
while I was there, this guy came to my table, and we started talking. So I told him, money is very essential. I say,
Mhm.
money, everything revolves around money nowadays, whether you like it or not. And
Mm.
it was like, I beg to differ. I said, okay, let me hear your differentiation if you choose. So it was like, but it's not. I said, well, if you go to church, what do they call money in church? It's tithe,
Sides. Yes.
right?
Offering.
Yes, offerings, tithe and offering. I say in the political avenue, they tell you need money to do what? Lobby, right?
Mm.
You need money for campaign. In church,
Mhm.
the gospel is free, but evangelism costs money because you need people in church and you need to pay the mortgage on that building. You need to pay for heating and cooling, right? And
Mm.
all that. So everywhere, money is essential. Now, when you love money too much and you find yourself in a state where you don't do ethical things to make money,
Mm.
it becomes a problem. Or when you make money and you don't give back to create better impact in the society. Because I
Right.
feel like once you make money, you have that social responsibility to be able to give back in impactful ways. I'm not
Mm.
talking about giving back because it's Christmas and you give people money to go drink and get drunk. No. How can you systemically, put money in places where it can positively impact, the
Mm.
social community that we live in, whether it's
Mhm.
around education, it's around religion, or it's around, economic development or political advancement. It has to be something that is impactful. Don't just give because you give people to go drink. Give people
Right.
money in a way that is sustainable, where they don't need to keep coming back.
Yeah.
Right. So
So,
that's
what are some ways that they can do that? Like, what are some ways to give back to people in a way that they're not going to keep coming back?
so I always say you have to be able to sponsor something tangible. Like
Okay.
even my family, I told them, hey, I've been sending money because as immigrants, you always get to send money back home. But I
Mm.
did that for a long time, and then I felt like because I always try to think way ahead and see, okay,
Mm.
how can I make this better?
Mhm.
So I first of all asked my mom, hey, what do you really want to do that if we invest in, you will be able to make money every single month that you don't need to call me. So she told me she wanted to start a pharmacy. I mean, till tomorrow, she never started a pharmacy. But anyway, that's a different story. So my brothers, I told them, hey, what I can put money in is education, right? I want you to go to
Mm.
school. So when they finish, I say, okay, what is it you want to do? They said they wanted to start a poetry, and
Mhm.
also they do snail farming. So okay,
Okay.
that's something that is sustainable. So
Right.
if you invest money in this, it's something that they can, you know,
Mhm.
make that money. They can turn the money around in the business so that
Right.
every single month they don't need to call me.
Mhm.
So that is something I can, invest.
Mhm.
I don't just give them because they're my brothers. I give them with interest. Okay.
Oh.
Mm.
Why? Not that I need the money, to
Mm-hmm.
make them to be responsible
With
because they
money.
owe me.
Right.
Yes. So
Right.
eventually, once they run the business for a year,
Mm-hmm.
2 years, and now I see that it's something that they're doing well, now I say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, take whatever you were supposed to pay me as interest, fluff it back.
And invest it.
Right.
Perfect.
So that's a different way. And
Mm-hmm.
they know me. If I cut you off, I cut you off. If you tell me this
Oh.
is what you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and you show me a plan, I give you money, you don't do anything about it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I just paid you off.
Oops. That's true because they cannot come back to you again for
Right,
any. It's
right.
like you only have
Mm-hmm.
one. Like the
So
moment you. That's
No
true.
nonsense financial advisor.
yeah,
No.
so
Uh.
I joke, but I tell you the truth as part of
Mm.
the joke. So it
Right.
is it is a different way to communicate because a lot of times people don't think I'm serious, but I tell you and I laugh and that's it.
Silent killer. Look at how he's
Yeah,
talking. And just I'm like, yeah, you're gonna pay me
yeah,
on my interest rate.
yes.
And
You
you
know,
think he's
hey,
joking, but he's very serious.
yeah. I say, run me
Wow.
back that money. I need it back. So, but
Mm-hmm.
it's essential that we develop sustainable systems
Mm-hmm.
Right.
to do things because just sending money back, even though it helps, but for how long? And also, I see a lot of people make the mistake they send everything back home and they never build anything here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a client coming today,
Mm-hmm.
husband and wife, and the wife was telling me, "Oh, my husband said he wants to retire back home. They're from Ghana." So
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
it's like, "Oh,
okay.
that's good." But I asked the guy, "How many times have you been back home since you've been here?" He said he's been here over 20 years. He's been
Mm,
back home like 3 times. I said, "What was the longest period you stayed back home?" He said about 4 weeks. I said, "What did you learn during the 4 weeks?" He said, "I was
mm.
frustrated almost every single day.
Mistreated
Frustrated."
or frustrated.
Frustrated.
Okay.
So
Okay.
he went to
Okay.
the bank. He had to spend about 3 hours just to complete a transaction, and going to the hospital was stressful and this and that and that and that. I said, "Then you've been here for over 20 years. Do you think you'll be able to retire back
Mm,
home?"
Mm-hmm.
I
mm,
said, "Let's face reality. You don't have any assets. There are no businesses, no investments that is tangible. How do you want to retire back home, right?" And a lot of people also they get to say they're investing back home. Most people go build a big house,
Yep.
mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
in over 20 years, you haven't stayed in the house for 1 year.
Okay. Okay. Hold on. Because I'm a very big believer in like investing back home.
Yes.
But so explain. Hold on. Hold on. So explain this to me,
Now you're talking to a financial advisor. You
right?
gotta
I
put
need
some
to.
common sense into.
Yeah.
I need to understand. So
Yeah.
I know. So is it more of like enjoy your money now,
No.
rather than like take all this money and your bill? Because the whole idea of like building like a big house back home, trying to like invest back home, is so that when you retire, no one is calling. You have your house, you have your space. No one is bothering you. Because the thing with America is like there's always something going on. There's always a bill you have to pay. This country
Absolutely.
is a little bit 24/7. So are
Yeah.
you saying that like if you're not really like investing back home, would you say it's better to like use that money that you want to build a big house back home to like just buy a house here for yourself and just be comfortable here?
More or less, but each one is different. My point is, let's say if you're investing back home, it has to be more or less for like a commercial thing. Don't go
Okay.
build a big house. Like
Mm-hmm.
right now, how many years do you still have to run in America? Your
Hmm.
productive years.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You have probably 20, 30 years, right?
Wow.
Say you go build a big house today. Do you think in 30 years that house will still stand the test of time? It may be subpar because everything around it would have developed so much that your house now becomes like mm,
The old house
the old
in
house
those days.
in
Yeah.
those days. You know what they say, right? And also,
I see.
there are three phases in building wealth, right? The
Okay.
first is the accumulation phase. When you're young, as you're building assets, buying things, investing the money, saving, and all that. That's the accumulation phase. When you get to the phase where you start distribution, where you start drawing down on the money to do the things that you always maybe didn't do it when you were younger in your
Mm-hmm.
retirement. And then the third phase is wealth transfer, right?
Mm.
Mm.
So at each of these phases, you have to be very intelligent and very diligent in what you do. In the accumulation phase, say you take all that money, you go build a big house back home. In 20 years, you haven't stayed in that house for 1 full year. So it's not just a liability, it's a double liability. What do I mean?
Hmm.
You have to be paying someone to stay there. You have
Yep.
to pay someone for maintenance, security, and so on, right? And
That's the upkeep.
it's not bringing anything in, so it's a major liability. I call it debt with
Mm.
liability, right?
Wow.
I get the commercial part now.
Right. So if it's something that maybe it's a rental or and
Mm.
real estate
Mm.
is not just real estate is not just a building
Right.
Right.
because those who have like water park, that's a real estate,
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's true.
Mhm.
Who have
Mhm.
parking garages, that's real
Mm.
estate.
Mhm.
Yes.
So real estate is not just you go building a big house and then you sit and say, I have a house, I'm a homeowner. Okay. Who is owning the home? Is the home owning you or you're owning
Let them know. Let them know, Philip. Let them know.
you?
Oh my
Real
gosh.
estate is not just buying a house.
Who is
Tell
owning
them.
who?
Who is owning who?
Who is owning who?
Because the house is literally consuming you. So you're
True.
here, you're struggling to pay mortgage, and you still have to send money back
You
home to
cannot
make
sleep
it
in the
fun.
house.
Right? You cannot because look at it realistically. Everyone who does 9 to 5, you can hardly go out and stay for more than a month.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
2 weeks
Yeah.
vacation
Right?
time. Oh.
So imagine, let's say you can barely go home every single year. Let's
Mm.
let's be very generous. I feel like Santa Claus today.
Uh-oh.
Right?
Christmas is around the corner.
Yes. So let's say every year you go home, you spend your 4 weeks vacation. So in 12 years, you would have made 1 year in that house.
In 12 years.
Yes. In
Hi.
12 years,
Oh.
you would have made
Jesus.
1 year in the house, right? So that's the sad reality. In 12 years, because each year you go there 1 month. So in 12 years, you would have made 1 year in your house.
Oh
So
yes, that's
literally
true.
in 11 years, you would have just paid for, the upkeep of the house, and you would have just put money that is not generating any money. So that's why I call it
Mm.
sometimes a debt weight. And I have
Mm.
Mm.
nothing wrong with people building a house back home and all, because it helps towards infrastructural development and all, and
Mhm.
also it helps with economic viability because you're paying those people who do the construction and all that. But real estate
Yeah.
is not just you building a big house and
No.
furnish it, and you're staying in maybe a 1 bedroom, and every month you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's not
Right.
sustainable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I love what you said about real estate. It's not just about buying a house. Like commercial real estate, you can own a parking garage, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
There's like the water parks. You mentioned so many things that
Right?
people can look further and realize that wow, Philip is
Yeah.
speaking the truth. So
Mhm.
you got to open your
Yes,
way
you have to
to think.
think broadly
Yeah.
because, like, even like when you look even real estate here, most people think real estate is just buying a house and this. Like, think about storage facilities.
Mm.
That's real estate, right?
Mhm.
Make lots of money.
The running cost is low, overhead is low. You
Low.
don't have to deal with maintenance and this, people calling you for repairs late at night
Mhm.
and so on.
Mhm.
So that's real estate.
Right.
And when you think about the size, let's just say
Mhm.
it's a 4 story building. It's sitting on that same acre of land that if you wanted to go build a big house, it takes much more space and you spend
Mm.
more money
Mhm.
compared to that. And then in each, let's say, square meter, you make
Right.
more money from that storage compared to, a home,
Mhm.
No way.
Wow.
right? So
No way.
those are things that when you think about it, and I always tell people, real estate is not just you buying a house and then you say no. There are other ways. Like I said, real estate is big. It's an
Mhm.
industry. So every industry has so much more. Same as like the healthcare industry. And
Mm.
most people come and they only want to remain as nurses, right?
Mm.
Mhm.
When you
Mhm.
talk about healthcare industry, they think only about nurses or
Mm.
nurse practitioners.
Mm.
But there is health IT, there is, all kinds of different
Mhm.
things in the IT industry. So
Mhm.
once you take a moment and take a step back and be able to identify where are the opportunities that maybe I can invest a little and get the most out of it, and then
Mm.
Right.
you develop a strategy that you can scale it, that makes more sense rather than just putting money because everyone is doing it. Like now, everybody's building a guest house,
Mhm.
Yeah, back home.
right? That's a
Every,
that's a it. Everybody
yeah.
Right.
in a guest house. I spoke to my friend in Texas, and he told me he was partnering with another guy. They were building a guest house. I said, "Oh, that's great." Then I asked him, "How many years will it take for you to get your return on investment, or to just breaking even?"
Break even.
He said, "I don't know." I laughed
Nice.
literally. So I said, okay. I said, okay, how
That's
long will it take for you to be profitable?
doesn't know.
I said, I don't know. I said, okay, have you done any calculations? Or are you just doing it from an, a patriotic standpoint? As a Cameroonian, you're building to, or is
Support.
this you doing it as a businessman? Because it's two
Right.
different
Hmm.
things.
Yeah.
From a patriotic standpoint, you're not looking at the return on investment
Mhm.
monetarily. You're looking at the impact. That's emotional satisfaction. Is completely different from the monetary satisfaction,
Mm.
Mm.
right? So there are investments that bring both monetary and emotional satisfaction. The
Mhm.
investments that are primarily for emotional satisfaction.
Mm.
Right.
Me
Yeah.
going to build
They
an
are.
orphanage. If I go
Mm.
build an orphanage, that's
You're not
emotional,
thinking of a
Emotional.
return.
right?
Mhm.
You're not thinking of the return goes beyond the
The
dollar, the
physical money.
financial
Mm.
part, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Or
Right.
you going to build a library back home to
Mm.
ensure that you're advancing, the literacy level,
Education.
education in the community. That
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
also it's something which is more impactful,
Mhm.
financially rewarding to you
Yes.
on a personal level. But
Mm-hmm.
you're opening minds where they can get to achieve so much more that brings in more back into the community or the society at large. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
different way to
Mm.
think when you get to invest. So when I asked him, he wasn't even sure what he was doing. So
And knowing you, you're still petty.
You're
You're
probably like, is this wasting that money?
probably laughing at
You're
him.
probably
You're a petty
like,
financial advisor. Probably laughing on the call.
so
it was probably
I
like,
just said,
what are
"Oh
you
boy,
doing?
you'll be okay." That's all I could say because you,
He had already made up his mind.
yes, you have to let people do what they really want to do.
Mm.
Right. Even as a financial advisor, there are clients who, when you try to educate them, they don't want to listen. You see that their mind is already made up. Even if you talk about the pros and cons of their decision so they can be able to make a more informed decision, and you still see that they are leaning towards whatever they want,
They want.
then
Right.
you give them what they want,
Yeah.
right? But since I also am a fiduciary when I'm working with a client, there are times where I tell them, hey, I won't be able to do this for you, right?
Mm.
I can refer you to somebody else because I know in my conscience this is not the right thing
You're
for
not
you.
gonna. Yeah.
Right.
So I won't have to sell this to you at
Mhm.
this point in time, right? And I always say it's okay to say no. It's
Mm.
okay, like, okay, I really want to do business with you, but at this point in time, it's not the right time for us to work.
Have you ever dealt with a difficult client, and how did
Always.
you handle it?
Always. When it concerns money, I'm sure you have.
Man, hopefully she doesn't get to see this, but so man, this was a very difficult client. So
Mm.
Okay.
you know,
Okay, take a deep breath. It's okay.
she
so
received
she was
this.
she was brought in by another team member, and
Mhm.
sometimes you just for me I feel it when I'm about to work with someone. I feel it like this person will be trouble.
Mm.
Mm.
I had the opportunity to say no, I don't want to deal with her, but I just say, hey, what
Mhm.
you're doing is about helping people.
Right.
People.
So finally, I educated her toward the need why she needs to get life insurance for her family and all. She said, okay,
Mhm.
let's go ahead and do it. She had first of all mentioned how much she wanted to put into this thing. When it was time to do it, she dropped about, say, maybe 70% below what she had proposed that she wanted to do.
Hmm.
Oh.
I said, okay, no problem. Let's go ahead. So while I was doing the application, I asked a couple of questions to her. And the whole time she was just lying about the answers, right? Not knowing that the insurance companies, they have all kinds of data points on you, right?
Mm.
See when the last time you went to the hospital, because that part of the application, you also sign a HIPAA, more or less a waiver where it gives them
Mhm.
the right to be able to access, a lot of your records, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
your driving records, medical record, labs, everything within
Mm-hmm.
the position statement. So I asked her if she was on Medicare. She said no. She lied. So he
Oh.
came back and they denied coverage for long-term care for her, but she was approved for life insurance. And
Mm.
she was furious. Oh, I cannot take this because blah, 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 blah. I said, this
Oh.
is a situation. You didn't tell me the truth. So
Mm.
Right.
that is what they can offer. No insurance company will give you long-term care when you, oh boy, she was furious.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I
Mhm.
tried with another company. and they didn't approve her for long-term care, but they gave her other living benefits such as chronic illness, critical illness, and terminal illness rider.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this woman was like, "No, I don't want it," and she was all furious. So I said, "Okay." So the first policy, I'd put in a request for them to cancel it.
Mhm.
So unfortunately, they didn't cancel it. So the second one, she still rejected it. So I
Mm.
told her to cancel it. So they canceled it.
Okay.
In my mind, everything had been canceled.
Hence, but the
Right.
first one was on.
The first one wasn't. So two
Uh,
months, 2 months later, because they took the premium that first month, then they took
Mhm.
it again in the second month. Oh boy, this woman called me, "Give me my money back, you foolish man."
Oh my God.
I saw that coming.
With a Nigerian accent, and
Uh-oh.
man, oh my god, this woman grilled
You're a
me like,
scam.
yes, that I was scamming
Yeah.
her and this and that and that. So I was like, no, man. I said, please pause for a minute. Let me understand what is going on. Hey, you're taking money from my account. I said, no, I'm not taking money from your account. How can I take money from your account? I said, I don't have a contract with you. You have a contract with the insurance company, and I
Right.
put in a request for cancellation. Oh boy. I
Huh.
said, please pause. Let me call them and verify what is going on. You
Right.
better have my money today.
If
Oh.
not,
If not, all the
Oh
stuff.
my God.
So now I was running on, not just tin eyes, actually tin bottles and broken bottles. So it was crazy. So I called the company. I don't really want to mention the company, but
No
they
worries.
were,
Yeah.
they were giving me a hard time that, oh, it is
uh,
beyond. They have they call it a free look period, where like you have a 30-day money back guarantee kind of stuff.
Right.
yeah,
Yes.
So it's the same thing where during that period you can review your policy, and then if you don't want it, you can
cancel.
Mhm.
cancel and they give you back your money. They said,
Oh.
oh, it's beyond that time, so they won't have to pay. I said, no, no, no. I put in this request prior. So they said
Yeah.
they have to go check the recordings. So
Mm.
they went, checked the recordings, and found out that I was telling the truth because I had called in and put in the request. So they refunded
Hmm.
the money. It took 2 days or so
To get it back.
to get it back to her. So I called her on a three-way call so
Mhm.
the lady could confirm that, hey, they are sending back her money. So
Mm-hmm.
after that, she called me, sir, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to come off like that. It's just my family, these are da. I said, it's okay. So then I knew, okay, this was the time for me to also grill her a little bit.
Mm.
Mm.
Petty
Um,
financial advisor.
so I said, first off, when you came to me, I really didn't want to work with you, but I knew
Oh.
that you had a need
Mm.
because you have three kids and you didn't have any insurance. So I was scared that if I didn't work with you, I could leave you in a space where I will feel guilty if something happened to you. I,
Mm.
s-
Right.
I was asking you all these questions and you
You
consistently
lied.
lied. So
Right.
you made it impossible for anything to be done. And you kept blaming me all this time with all the work I put in, how much I tried to make sure you could get something. Even though I told you that, okay, they cannot give you this, but they'll give you this once. You said, let's go ahead. Once that
Mhm.
was given to you, you still came back and made like we didn't discuss this and start making me feel like, I was completely useless. I didn't know what I was doing.
Mm.
Mm.
I said, next time, I wouldn't
Mhm.
want to do business with you. It's not
Mhm.
any personal feelings, but that's just my principle. I want to work with someone that keeps
Mhm.
honesty.
Right.
He was like, I'm sorry, sir, but I will send some people your way. I say if they are like you, I beg, don't send them.
No, no, thank you.
Right? Because like they
Mhm.
say, birds of a feather,
Flock
they usually
together.
sit in
Right.
the same. Let me use the Maryland one. Birds of a feather, they usually sit at the same sequoia.
Wow.
Right.
Drops
So
Oh
boom
my
boom. Drops
yeah.
gosh.
drops bar.
So
Drop mic.
yeah. So that's
Wow.
my experience with
Yeah. Yeah.
the whole thing. Yeah.
So now are you able to like
Mhm.
spot when you feel like this might be a difficult client from this experience? Were you able to learn a few things or
Yeah.
two?
Absolutely, because when I'm
Mm-hmm.
working with people, the qualifying questions that you get to ask to really know where this person is coming from,
Mm-hmm.
the way they answer certain questions, you know that okay, this person will definitely be trouble. But for
Yeah.
some people, you won't know until it goes sideways. And
Mm-hmm.
good
Mm-hmm.
thing is, I have clients from all walks of life, all backgrounds, all
Right.
I have white clients, black clients, African Americans, Caribbeans, all over. But I
Mm.
get to deal with people as they come, and I try not to have any bias towards anyone because
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
if you have any bias towards certain, group of people, then you as a financial advisor, you're already selling yourself short.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
It will lead you to make assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I read somewhere that assumption is the lowest form of ignorance,
Mm.
right?
Hmm.
Mm-mm.
So
Come
because
on.
you don't know, so you assume.
Yeah.
Right.
You're
Right.
certain, why do you assume? So what I read that, and also I was learning about different biases that people have based on where someone is from or the kind of way they speak and how
Mm.
they look. So indirectly, as human beings, we form those biases before we even interact with someone. So we judge them based on how they appear, what how they speak, and so on. So as
Mm.
a financial advisor, I make sure I try to stay clear because some of
Mm.
the wealthiest clients I work with, they don't look like money, right?
Right.
Mm.
Right. The way they dress, the way.
The way
Mm-hmm.
they carry themselves.
They don't look like money. So if you prejudge them based on appearance, you've already lost them. So you have to be able to welcome everyone, how they come,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
get to ask questions to understand where they are, what is it they're looking for, what are their needs, and then formulate strategies that addresses those areas of concerns that they have.
Mm.
Okay.
So, what makes you different from other financial advisors out there?
Mm.
Very personal. That's one thing, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And my clients would say this: you call Philip at 3 a.m., he will answer, right?
Really?
Wow.
So
So you're
yes,
24/7
yes,
service?
I'm always open. I
Wow.
work,
Oh,
I
wow.
work, yes. Um, Even though it's not a really good thing, but I like to have a means of communication with clients where it's constantly open
Mm.
because most people who have dealt with financial advisors will treat you based on how much money you have.
Yeah, the money.
So
Mm.
those
Yes.
who have more money, they get preferential treatment.
Hmm.
Those who don't have, they treat them like just a number.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's true.
One of my clients right now, he owns a food truck. So he was
Mm.
telling me the advisor he worked with last year, he lost about 30 something thousand, almost $40,000.
Oh man.
And he didn't even get a call for explanation or whatever. When he called, they told him, oh, the advisor is not in the office. When he comes back from vacation, he'll call. And he said the guy never called him,
What?
right? So even though, so he said, because he's someone who likes to see who he's working with. I connected with the wife through one of the events. I was presenting at this event at Anne Arundel County.
Mm-hmm.
Department, the Central Services, they had a financial summit. So I was presenting to business owners,
Mm-hmm.
the necessity for financial literacy in business management.
Right.
So through that, I connected with the wife, and then she brought him. They all came to the office, and we looked at different strategies. I'll say, hey, looking at your age, you don't want to be in any strategy that is not, you have the potential to lose money. Let's look at something that makes sense for you. So
Mm.
we
Mm-hmm.
discussed, we identified his needs, and then formulated a plan. And
Mm-hmm.
he was very comfortable. And he knows every time he calls, he say, man, I call you and you pick up every time. It's not like it goes to somebody and they tell me. So that personal touch is very important. And also,
Mm.
you want to work with someone who's very knowledgeable,
Right.
right? I learn a lot. I don't just learn just things around, financial services industry. I read things about, other areas, whether it's psychology, right? Emotional quotient. I understand emotional intelligence and all those different areas. And
Mm-hmm.
also, I take time to listen and understand what the client is not saying. Because a lot of times people will come
Key.
and they will
Mm-hmm.
tell you all kinds of big talk. When you get to do the numbers and the number is not
It's
numbering.
not numbering.
So yeah, but I'm hands on. I make sure I work with you on a one-on-one basis, and I take time to educate because not everyone that comes that you need to sell something to them.
Right. Right.
Because I have people that initially they were not my client, where the first thing we did was to work on debt management. They had a lot
Mm-hmm.
of debt, so we needed to take time understand what strategies we can develop to help them get out of debt first. Then how
Before
to budget before anything. So
anything.
after doing that for over 6 months, now they were able to have
Mm-hmm.
some discretionary income. I said, okay, now that you have this, can we start putting it in? a
Yeah.
strategy that can grow. So some
Wow.
people they like that because they know, oh man, this guy was able to spare 2 hours, 3 hours to work with me to do this to help me, and I wasn't even paying him.
Hmm.
Mm.
That goes a long way
It
It
does.
does. It does.
because most financial advisors, just to do a financial needs analysis, they will
You have
charge
to
you
book an
up to
appointment.
Yeah.
yes, up to $5,000. Trust me, I've seen one online. They were charging over $5,000 for what we do for
Wow.
free,
Hmm.
right? So it is
Imagine.
essential that our goal is to make sure that people have easy access to financial advisors
Hmm.
where you don't have to worry that you have to pay someone an arm and a leg and a little bit of your kidney to be able to get financial advice, right? So
Right.
it's very important. When we have problems, you have
Hmm.
eye problems, you go see an ophthalmologist, you have stomach problem, you go see a doctor. When you're sick, you go
Hmm.
to the hospital. But we always have financial problems and we never see the money
You
doctor.
see anybody?
Yes, exactly.
So
Wow.
yeah,
So I
Right.
that's
have a final question, but
yes.
Raissa, do you have a question?
Yes. So, apart from, I think this is like kind of like wrapping things up a little bit, but apart from like you as a financial person, tell us like who are you? You know, like because I we heard a little bit like you're a family. What do you like to do out of like the finance side? You know, let's get a little bit personable. Like, who are you in general? What do you stand for? And things like that.
Yeah. That has changed a lot over the past 2 years.
Hmm.
Because first of all, I was in the streets heavily.
In the
Right.
streets.
Yeah. I used to I used to
You don't
party
give. You don't give. Okay.
I used to
Why are you
party a lot.
surprised?
I am like
No,
he
no,
gives
no.
very much
Trust me.
nerdy,
I
Nerd.
book.
Looks
no,
can be
but
deceiving.
yeah,
I see that.
I used to party a lot.
Ah, you
I
used to
was just,
wash your hands in champagne.
hey, I did that. I have videos. I can send it to you. You know.
Enough.
Send it to us so we can insert it in here. We'll be like from washing his
Yes,
hands in champagne to a financial advisor.
yes. So, but I used to
Philip,
do
hold on.
so.
She likes stuff like this. See how she's getting excited?
Yes, you know, like
No,
She's so-
right. So I was I was in the in the social space. I was really there. But
Mm.
over the past 2 years, I think I got closer to God. I became more
okay.
spiritual. So a lot of the things that interest me now, I think initially they were very boring. Since
Mm,
I stopped drinking, so you can hardly find me at the club right now.
Wow.
Social events. I'll go just to networking events, and
Mhm.
once I'm done, I come back home. So the things I enjoy more now is like going to a fine restaurant, sit,
mm.
Me
enjoy
too.
a good meal,
Me
and
too.
drink tea and go home.
Me too.
And then the people I entertain, since I moved to where I stay now, I invite just the people that are really close to my heart.
Keep a small circle.
Yes, I very, very small. So almost everybody I used to hang out with, I don't hang out with no more.
Mm.
Right? Not because we have any problems, it's just because where I am right now, whether it's mental, spiritual, or whatever
Mhm.
space I am,
This is a different level.
yes, it's I choose who I really bring around my space, but mostly I like staying in the house. I love watching, movies. I do that a lot. Like when I close from, work, I spend maybe 30 hour an hour just to
Mhm.
decompress. I can watch maybe a heist movie or really heist movies they because it's
Yes.
crazy. I see people think before, So
Mhm.
um once in a while I may go to a really nice bar, just sit,
Hmm.
drink cranberry juice because I don't drink alcohol.
Not no
Wow.
more.
No, I haven't had alcohol for 2 years now.
Wow. You
So
delivered.
Wow.
I've been delivered. Yes,
Hallelujah.
I have. So yeah, but that's what I typically do. But I say I have a more or less a boring life right now, but
Mm.
it's intentional because I decided I want to focus on building a business,
Okay.
something I can pass on to, my son once he gets to the age where he can, take over. So
Mm.
I'm really intentional what activities I engage myself in. So I
Okay.
would say I'm very boring right now.
Mm.
Boring is good. You stay out of trouble.
It's true. And you don't spend money uselessly.
Right. True. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
True.
Thank
So
True.
that's me.
thank you for sharing. I feel like sometimes it's hard when you get on interviews to really talk about yourself, and I can say you're a pretty good speaker. I could tell that you've done a lot of public
I
speaking,
try.
like you mentioned.
I
So
try.
that also helps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I try. Since I do a
Right?
lot of programs, so it's kind of
It,
easier
mhm.
to speak, publicly. Initially, I was
Right.
a big introvert, but
Mm.
now I don't mind talking.
Yes, yes. So you dropped a lot of gems tonight and a lot of great information that I believe could help a lot of people.
Yeah.
And how can people actually get in contact with you? You know,
Mm-hmm.
what are your social media, or
Hmm.
emails or phone numbers? If you can provide that
Yeah.
to the audience, that would be great.
So my number, which I always 90% of the time I have my phone with me,
Mm-hmm.
443 I don't change my number for nothing.
Oh.
Right. Then I'm on Instagram. I don't post actively, even though I'm supposed to. I'm one
Hmm.
of those people who, like, I feel some type of way, but I'm
Hmm.
saying, I think that's part of my 2025 goals to have more social media presence because all the events I go to, I want to be able to capture that because I feel like the information we share is very vital. I
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
don't want it to be limited just to the people that are immediately exposed to. I want to be able to have more reach so we can create a wider impact as part of our goal to educate 30 million families by 2030. So,
Oh.
Wow.
so I'm on Instagram, the same as my name, Philip Ndeska, and
Okay.
Facebook, Feel Fortunate.
Hmm.
Uh, I post sometimes on Facebook, but I don't do much. So email, you can send Philip. It's Zika, Philip
Okay.
Ndzeka @gmail.com. So it's different from the name you see on the screen because I switch it to the original name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's how you can reach me. But I
Great.
always advise people a text message or a phone call is the
It's the
best
best.
way. Yes, if I
Okay.
don't pick up, at least in the next 5 or 10 minutes, I'll call you back.
Oh,
Wow.
that's quick.
That's
That's
like
quick.
Yes,
you're on it.
I'm
Wow.
serious
Okay.
about business.
Yeah.
We're gonna make sure that people can see your
This.
contact information as
Yeah,
well when we put
Mm-hmm.
the episode together.
all
Mm-hmm.
right, I appreciate
All right.
that.
Well, any final thoughts?
No, so for everyone out there, I it's you don't need to be too rich to seek financial advice. I think that's what I got from this.
Hmm.
Mr. Philip mentioned that he's willing to sit with you and talk to you and see how you can get there, even if it's a matter of like looking at your expenses, looking at your finances. So don't wait until you're like, well, I don't have enough money now, like I'm really just living paycheck to paycheck. I don't think I should seek financial advice. Like that's too big. You never know what someone can look and see and be able to help you or connect you to something. So reach out if you are struggling financially. Just reach out, have a conversation, and just see where it goes. Don't talk down on yourself, and drop something in the comment about what you've learned, what you would like to know more of, and things like that.
Warning, but if you're like that lady he mentioned, please do not proceed to contact him. We don't want difficult clients,
No,
okay?
he would
I
smile
think,
and
I can relate to
yeah,
working with difficult people. So
she can.
yeah.
difficult people, please not apply.
Well, I
Okay?
always say difficult people are the spice of life, right?
Right, and that's
Mm.
how you learn. You learn
Yeah,
from,
it's like how do I say it? I like going to Indian restaurant, so they
uh-huh.
have this goat biryani, and it's very
Mm.
spicy. So it's like
Okay.
a goat biryani. You know the after effect. Oh,
But you can't get
but
Right.
you can
away
get
from
past
it.
it, right? Yeah. So that's how it is. Yeah.
Thank you.
So
So, on that note, we're going to wrap up the interview. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah,
We
thank you.
learned a lot. And until next time,
we'll
Thank
definitely keep in
yes,
touch.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
Absolutely. Thank you
you.
guys so much. All right. You
All
have a
right.
wonderful evening.
Okay,
All right. Bye bye.
bye.